Hi there, my name is Kay Moon and I'm a Western astrologer and twin flame channel, and this is a video about the Libra New Moon that took place on October 21st at 8:24 a.m. If you happen to be on the eastern seaboard of the United States, definitely check a time zone converter for your local time. This is a video for the twin flame divine counterpart soulmate collective. Super excited to be here with you all for another amazing new moon. This particular new moon is going to be a really potent one in our divine masculine energetic fields. I strongly encourage you, if you have not already, to listen to the Lightworker Energy Update for a full breakdown of why and how that may be, so that you can listen to this as a part two to better understand what this may mean for your connection and yourself and your counterpart. Here we do see the new moon in Libra making a nice grand cross almost with opposition to Chiron and Eris and Aries. We see Pluto and Aquarius speaking to this new moon, as well as Jupiter, our divine masculine energy, speaking to this new moon, as well as Pallas here. This Grand Cross energy is an invitation to step into taking our rightful place in the world of form, in our interactions and relationships with the people who matter most to us. Instead of wallowing or wandering around or wondering, victim consciousness, what's happening over there on the other side of the connection? Why are my relationships going the way they're going? What's happening next? Disengaging or deactivating or overreacting and pushing, there's an invitation into divine neutrality here by starting with where and how we may have self-abandoned, and that self-abandonment may be showing up as a mirror in other abandonment in the connection. For richer details about that, like I said, I invite you to listen to the Lightworker Energy Update so that you can better understand how to utilize this energy to move things forward in your connection. That being said, in case you missed it, the class that I provided with ASTRO Tarot Cards and Stars has definitely closed, but the opportunity to jump on the wait list is available. You can grab your seat on the waitlist should we open it or other courses in the future by just jumping on my private list below. There's also a link to do so over on my website. Private one-on-one readings are closed at this time. I have mentioned it. You may have noticed that I'm moving further and further away from doing one-to-one work and doing significantly more teaching. If you'd like the opportunity to get a one-on-one reading with me, the best thing to do is to be on the private list when I open Star Club. And next week, it's coming up so fast. When I open Star Club, opportunities for one-on-one time together will be available to members first. And in many situations, members only, depending upon how my schedule books out. So if you know you want me to look at your chart, the chart of your connection, your counterpart's chart, join Star Club when it opens next week. That will be the way that you and I will get to spend one-on-one time together going forward. Okay. Let's jump into what's going on with our divine counterparts. Let's start with Juno. She's our divine feminine energy. She rests in the sign of truth, faith, hope, and optimism. Writing and long distance travel, education, continuing ed, higher ed, that is Sagittarius. In this position, she is in opposition to Uranus here. This is our energy that deals with quantum leaps and consciousness and third dimensional movement. We see him in the sign of communication, rendering surprise, consciousness, ideas, facts, intuition, as well as communications coming through our divine feminine energetic fields. If you've had a conversation with your counterpart or communication with them anytime in the last month and a half, as Juno has pulled into position with Uranus, it may have been surprising, unexpected, something that you didn't anticipate things going the way they have gone. With that being said, Uranus inside of Gemini is indicative of two roads, two timelines being available. Juno in the sign of Truth is indicative of making a decision. And so the decision really does rest in the divine feminine energetic fields. Now, I want to reiterate for the people in the back, everyone has divine masculine and divine feminine energy. You may run more masculine to feminine energy at any given time due to your lessons or your leadership and what's required of you, but you don't get off the hook of having both. That is how you incarnated. You will see in your natal chart, you've got both Jupiter and Juno, masculine and feminine. Now, if you're resonating in exclusionary energy, where I'm the divine masculine, they are the divine feminine, you will find that that sort of imbalance internally renders as imbalance externally as well. And you'll flip-flop. You'll go through cycles and seasons with this, as I mentioned, as your light work, leadership, and lessons call upon you to use one part of yourself more than the other. But know that if you're seeking balance with a counterpart, that balance starts within first. Divine feminine energy within all of us collectively is in a season of choices, decision making, truth, faith, hope, and optimism. And as Uranus is speaking to her, there may be a lot of revelation and insights, intuitive knowings unfolding for you in your receptive feminine energy. That being said, we also see communication can come out of nowhere or in unexpected ways from this part of ourselves as well. We also see a trine to Neptune and Ceres in Aries. Here is Neptune at the 0-degree mark of Aries, Ceres at the 5th degree mark of Aries. Neptune speaking to Juno is calling her into higher levels of spiritual consciousness, recognition and awareness of intuitive insights, intuitive hits, many of these going to be about self and personal journey. We also see Ceres here in the position with Neptune speaking to closures, completions, ends of cycles, wrapping up seasons when it comes to the way the self is showing up spiritually. That's the Neptune part in the connection based on revelation and truth that we've been receiving through our divine feminine energy. And so a few different ways that this could really render. Certainly in the 3D, the most basic rendering is going to be recognizing you're closing a cycle with a counterpart and stepping out of one way of being together so you can step into a new way of being together, one type of leadership into a new type of leadership, closing out cycles and seasons that you've outgrown. And much of this is speaking to a level of personal outgrowth. You may have been in one place in the connection, only to realize you're now in a new place in the connection. It doesn't necessarily mean anything in the connection is changing outwardly. It could just mean that you personally are changing the way you're showing up for yourself. And then as a result of you making more space for you, it creates a dynamic change in the way the connection holds you and the way you hold the connection. So it doesn't have to be bad. It doesn't have to mean breakup, distance, or separation. It could for some, if that's what your connection requires, or that's what you're really, believing needs to happen. But it doesn't have to be that. For those of you who identify in some format of union, this is where you may find a lot of deep personal ambition beginning to show itself, and distinctions in the way the two of you do either mission or service work or soul purpose work in the world, really starting to recognize where your calling as individuals actually needs to be strengthened so that your light as a pair can shine even brighter. And so if that's happening, again, there's really beautiful energy for conversation and communication around this at this time. But the revelation, the awareness about it is certainly coming through our divine feminine energetic fields. We also see a sextile to Venus for Juno, and this is creating a ton of beautiful harmony. We've got Venus, we've got Make here in the sign of Libra. We have beautiful harmony for divine feminine energy when it comes to balancing out partnership, as there is richer acceptance of truth or of reality, even when it comes to what you're standing in faith for and having your faith be your reality. What you're going to see is the Venusian energy stepping up and supporting the connection to thrive as you step into more, potentially a more individualized journey. This energy here is supportive of connections going deeper based on lessons learned. That's the Make piece. Wisdom that has been integrated is now becoming lived work of art, lived masterpiece sort of energy here through the divine feminine energetic fields. And so it's a very beautiful period that we're moving through, that's coming about really coming home, coming into self, stepping into union with mission, union with the divine in ways that enhance connection. Lastly, we see a connection to Pluto for Juno, and there's Pluto and Pallas, and this connection here can also really be strengthening of divine feminine energy inside of community, and finding the community that you feel really guided to be with, building community, working with others in potent and empowering ways to empower them, to empower yourself, overcoming fears together, overcoming systems of control, mechanisms of manipulation together. And so you may find that learning and growing in a group is something you're very much called to and guided toward at this time. And so if that's the case, certainly step into it. There's one thing that I feel like, a little story time. Ages and ages and ages ago, I had a roommate. Let's just call her Alyssa. I had a roommate, Alyssa, and Alyssa really wanted to ride a motorcycle. I'd gone through classes and training and got the license, the whole 9 yards. And it had been months before Alyssa was ready to buy a motorcycle. And so Alyssa, as time went by, ended up meeting a partner, Alice, and Alice was like loved Alyssa, like everything about Alyssa, but was terrified of Alyssa's motorcycle riding. Fast forward, Alyssa now has the money saved to buy a motorcycle and is ready to do it. But things have now deepened between her and Alice. Now, Alice rode a bicycle, not a motorcycle, a bicycle. And the city that we happen to live in, if you can imagine a city with really bad motor traffic, and by bad, I mean not number of vehicles on the road, I mean poor turn signaling, I mean regular accidents because signage is unclear or hidden by branches or construction signs. I'm talking about bad traffic issues because of man-made, man-related issues. Just not enough signage before you're meant to take an exit, causing people to get in accidents, this sort of thing. We were living in that kind of city. Anyone who can guess, I will give a heart to. what city I'm talking about at that time. I don't live there any longer, but go ahead and put your guesses in the comment. I'll heart it if it's the right city. All of that to say, Alice rode a bicycle and my roommate, Alyssa, wanted a motorcycle. And because of the way the traffic was, I mean, the city's notorious for its traffic problems. My roommate, Alyssa, really felt uncomfortable and unsafe about Alice on her bicycle. And Alice felt even more afraid of Alyssa getting a motorcycle. And so Alyssa came to me at that time and said, Kate, what should I do? Like, I don't want to give up riding a motorcycle. It's been my dream since before I met Alice. But I mean, she's right. Our city has some of the worst traffic. There are a lot of accidents, and I'm really not comfortable with her riding her bicycle. And I said, Alyssa, I get it, but you're letting fear make your decisions for you. Your worlds, as two people coming together, should get bigger together, not smaller. I know you're afraid, and she's afraid. But if you're going to make a decision to close off what you both really enjoy in fear, it's going to ultimately undermine your relationship and be the end of it. You need to decide, are you going to let fear make your decisions or love? Are you going to let your relationship become more and more insular? Or are you going to let your love expand the way you live? And Alyssa bought a motorcycle, and Alice continued to ride her bicycle, and everybody was fine. Nobody got into any accidents. But all of that to say, when I look at this energy in the divine feminine energetic fields, there's a lot of expansion here. And this expansion is personal. It's not necessarily in the connection, although the connection expands as a result of the divine feminine's choice to expand at this time. So, where you're guided to expansion, I don't know what sector of life that's going to be. Maybe it is something about movement and traffic and travel. I mean, the divine feminine is in a sign that deals specifically with travel. She's receiving activation from Uranus from another sign that deals with travel and movement. But for others of you, this could be about higher education. For others, this could be about relationship and partnership. And still for others, this can be about communities and growing with people in a group. Wherever it is, you are guided into that personal level of expansion at this time. My counsel looking at this new moon, which starts a new cycle, is to trust it. Trust that it is going to, in the long term, benefit you, benefit your connection, because you will be a more enriched person because of it. And you more enriched is going to be more valuable in your connection with a counterpart than you less enriched. Okay. So that's what I have there. But just out of curiosity, I'm straight up nosy today. What is it you guys are being called into expansion around? I'm super, super curious what this is, for how this is rendering and how it's showing up in your personal lives. Okay, so let me know in the comments. For me, definitely this call to start Star Club is showing up, to really expand the way that I work and operate in the third dimension to be of bigger impact and bigger influence. This is something that's been on my heart for a while and is definitely part of the Virgo new moon solar eclipse. Showed up in my chart in such a way it was like, yeah, you can no longer not be in service in this way. It's not working for you. It's making you small. You actually need to step up. So that's me. Curious what it is for you. Let's talk about Jupiter, our divine masculine energy, which we all have, by the way. There's Jupiter at that 24th degree of Cancer. We see a square to this new moon, which makes the divine masculine journey very potently marked at this particular new moon's interval. We see Jupiter also in opposition to Pluto. We see a square to Chiron and Eris. And we also see a trine to Nessus and Saturn in Pisces over here, and a trine to Mars and Mercury and Lilith in Scorpio over here. Ooh, not only do we have a grand cross, but we also have a grand trine. My friends, what are we going to do with this energy? It's intense. So if you happen to identify in majority divine masculine energy, this new moon you're going to feel. You're going to have felt it last week. You'll be feeling it this week. It's going to be the sensation of feeling both pulled apart, in victim mode, and being pushed by the universe, by the stars, by God's energy here, the divine energy, to grow. It is a strong push to, let's get into the nitty-gritty, acknowledge where you have participated in your own victimization and you're seeing that mirrored back to you at present time. See how that has impacted your partnerships and collaborations. That's the new moon in Libra energy. Recognize where you have shied away from honoring and utilizing your own power constructively, whether that has been overreach and what we used to call back in the day power tripping, or underutilization and what we now recognize as sort of abdication of power. You may also find that the Mars-Mercury-Lilith combination, speaking to Jupiter here, is creating a lot of rich awareness and deep insights that you cannot ignore. Same with the Saturn-Nessus energy in Pisces. Between waking up and going to sleep, these liminal states are going to be rich, message intense, revelatory for you, providing a lot of deep insight about some emotional truths that it's just time to integrate about who you are, where you are, and why you are where you are when it comes to your world. I'd love to say that this was just about relationships, but as I mentioned in the light worker energy update, because of these different aspects from different facets of life, you're actually going to see a mirror. The same thing that's happening or you're experiencing in your romantic partnership or love life or business partnership, you're also going to see it because that's this new moon in Libra. You're also going to see it in your family dynamics. That's where Jupiter sits, potentially even relationship with mom or a mother figure. You're going to see it in your relationship with your own spirituality. You're going to see it in your relationship with your friends and with your colleagues. In particular, what I'm seeing here is this energy of needing to stop living on table scraps. That's a really key theme for this Libra new moon. And so where in your divine masculine energy you have undercharged, over-delivered, been everyone's hero with nothing left for yourself at the end of the day, given and given and given and been people's emotional, financial, spiritual backstop to keep them on the game board, but then you personally are left, crispy, deep fried, and dehydrated as a result of this. This sort of energy now shows itself to you as the pattern that must end. Likewise, where you have wallowed in a place of low self-esteem, which has just been completely out of sync with your reality, right? Believing the worst of you or the least of yourself, where you have been in a place where you have consistently undermined yourself, your own creativity, your power, your spiritual prowess, your capacity to do and ability to act. Where you have cut your own self short, you're going to see that life has shrunk to the level of your expectations at this new moon, and in a potent way that forces your hand for change. And so I am here for this. It's going to be uncomfortable. I mean, I see that with certainty. Um, but where you have not demanded more of yourself, life has been in agreement that it will not give you more until you stand for more. And so this new moon in Libra is your opportunity to change the whole, like just flip the whole script, like just change the entire dynamic. Loosely, we see a sextile between Jupiter and Uranus here, which is divine masculine energy, absolutely coming into, oh, time to change the script, quantum leap forward, do the next thing. So some of you may already be feeling that energy of like, yeah, I've got to change up the entirety of the way I'm moving on the planet because it's not working for me. And at like the two power dynamics I mentioned are like opposite sides of the same coin. It's misuse of power to serve others for personal validation. One abdicates power so that you never have to feel the scorn or the shame of being abusive with power. One overuses power so that to help others, so that again, one never has to feel the scorn or the shame of letting people down. And so in both cases, we have this, and this is going to be a longer term journey in our divine masculine energy fields as Jupiter opposes Pluto coming into 2026. As this energy continues to unfold, we get the right usage, right sizing of personal power in our divine masculine energetic fields. And so I'm going to say it a second time in this live for the people in the back. We all have divine masculine energy and places in our life where we do these things. The faster you can identify this for yourself, the easier it's going to be to bring it into personal balance. Personal balance creates relationship balance, as above, so below. So I said what I needed to say about it. I sincerely hope y'all are picking up what I'm putting down. I love y'all. You know I love to do this with you. It is an absolute gift and a treasure to provide this level of insight. And I really look forward to being with you at the next full moon. So, with all of that said, you all have my heart. This is where I love you and leave you with love. Look out for the opening to Star Club next week, and we will talk then. Take great care, and bye for now.